Hi everybody, how you doing? How you been? How are things? This is Shane and Diana one more time. Here we are at Wacky Pot Studio, and this is our current week's coffee time. Today we're going to talk a little bit for just a second about the cups that we're drinking out of. Diana, tell about that cup that you have.
Yes. This cup actually our son Christopher made, and he entered it into the fair last year, won first place with it. But I'm really proud of it, and so I chose this cup today to drink out of, and I think, he glazed it and all, he hand built and then he glazed it as well, and it's a beautiful cup, and I had not drank out of it before, so I am having my coffee out of it today.
Yeah, and I'm drinking out of a cup that I didn't make. This was gifted to me by Carolyn a while ago, and I would consider this to be like the perfect coffee cup. Here's the thing, I've made lots and lots of cups. I haven't made any cup yet that feels as perfect as this one. I'm sure I will, but for now, this is my favorite cup and the cup that I drink my coffee out of every morning. Now, I've got a couple of prospective perfect cups coming in the pipeline. A couple of them are here in front, and we'll talk about those in a moment. But what are we talking about this week? What do we got going on?
Alrighty, well, before we talk about the coming week, let's talk about what happened last week.
Oh my goodness, there was another super duper busy week, super busy.
I think they're all busy now. I don't know. It just seems that way.
Yep.
Well, hey, last week we shipped our very first piece of pottery.
It's in transit now, so we don't know if it's made it yet.
Fingers crossed that
it was
gets
intact
there.
when we sent it.
It was, and fingers crossed that it gets there in one piece and looks beautiful, and then that's our our sign that, hey, we're ready to roll with the online.
Yep. So this is our test shipping
Yes.
item. So we'll see.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully.
It's not going that far. North Carolina is not that It's not that far.
It's still quite far. Alrighty. Last week we made 31 items.
Not a lot.
No, but it was busy. So I've added our 31 up there to our 2,000 piece pottery goal, and as you can see, we're still way down at the bottom, but
that's okay.
But every week we still are adding to it, so it is building, even though it's building slowly. It's still building.
When we start making very small things in large quantities,
Yeah.
it'll increase a lot.
Yeah. And on top of the 31 items that we made, we did glaze 21 pieces of pottery, one of which is right here on the little spinny wheel. And that was my fortune cookie that I'm so super proud of. And look at that beautiful glaze on that. It just, I really love that. It's like my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm. You did a good job on that.
I love it.
Yep. So what else from last week?
Oh, our trip to Pennsylvania. We had to go to the ceramic store in Norristown, Pennsylvania. And so we went up to get some new things, and we also visited your brother Brandon.
Yep, we hand delivered
Yeah.
some mugs that Brandon and his family had made here in the studio. And since we were going to be not too far from their house anyway, rather than ship them, we just delivered them to him.
So, and it was a great visit, and of course going to the ceramic store, we got to pick up lots of things.
We loaded up the
Yes.
Wacky Wagon. We did. We loaded it up.
That's the name of the truck now, the Wacky Wagon.
It's a catchy name.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. But as you can see, all these glazes I picked up while I was there. So, we use a lot of Amico glazes, some Mako glazes, and I even picked up some underglazes this time from
That's
Mako.
right. You're going to be doing some painting techniques with the underglaze, trying
Yes.
to mimic a watercolor painting kind of a style.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So I only got the primaries in those and black and white, because underglazes have a tendency to be super expensive. Which, talking about super expensive, a lot of times people, they always wonder, how much do glazes cost? And so like this bottle here of Firebrick Red, which happens to be one of my favorites, not really your favorite, but one of mine.
Yeah, it's a little mid for me.
That costs $23 for the bottle.
How many things could you do with that?
Generally, you can get about 6 mugs out of that, maybe 4 to 6, depending. But then again, a lot of times, you mix, you layer your glazes to get different effects and all that.
And you might
so-
use only a tiny bit of
Right.
one
So
color.
it just depends. And then of course, and if you're doing a plate, it's going to take more because there's a lot more surface area. So it depends, but and then of course my all-time favorite glaze, which is birch.
Birch, that's Diana's maiden name.
That's
So
me.
she has a special
That's me.
fond association with birch.
Yes, and birch trees, and yes, I love
Birch beer.
Yes,
There you
birch beer. Yes, it's just something, It's,
Yep.
It's part of me.
Part of you. Yep.
It's part of me.
So what should we talk about some other things that we picked up? Because we didn't just get glaze. We got some other things too.
Yes.
I picked up a couple of gadgets for myself, and this is looks like a dumb looking little thing. What it is? It's a metal stick with a little clamp on it for me to attach a sponge to, so that when I'm making a piece of pottery that I can't reach down to the bottom with, I can put this down inside of it to get to sop up some of the water and also to smooth out the bottom a little bit. It doesn't work that well, or it's not that necessary for something of this size. But if I'm making something larger, something a little bit bigger, something taller,
A vase.
a vase, for example. And I did make a couple vases this week. I'm not showing them to anybody because they might not turn out. We'll wait until they get closer to
Maybe
successful.
next week.
But something like this is required for getting the inside, some of the water out of the inside while I'm throwing it. And then along those same lines, because I'm throwing larger and larger items, one of the problems that I'm having is I can't get my hands inside of a vase if the neck is too small, and if I find that I have to fix something or to smooth out a curve, and I've already made the neck size smaller than what my hand will fit in, I picked up a throwing stick, which should enable me to push against the inside of a vase or a taller vessel without having to reach my whole hand in. So we'll see how that works. I had plans of making one of these out of a wooden spoon and just like cutting off part of it, but it's already made. I'm gonna try it and we're gonna see. We also picked up our clay.
Yes, and that's a big reason for traveling and going to the store.
It is super expensive to ship
Yes,
clay.
I mean I can get glazes shipped and pay the shipping, and it's affordable.
But clay comes in 50-pound boxes, and the mail lady does not like handling
And it's
our boxes.
super expensive to get clay delivered, so it's much cheaper to just
Yep.
make the trek, and it was an enjoyable day.
It was. So we picked up 250 pounds of standard 112, right? Which
Yes.
is the speckle clay that we are doing a lot of hand
Yes.
building and stuff with.
And what this was made from.
And when it's greenware, this is the standard 112. This is what it looks like. When it's done, when it's fired, it's like a buff tan color with black speckles in it. So we picked up 250 pounds of that because we're using it a lot.
Yes.
And then we
It's
also
one of my
picked up another kind of clay that I want to talk to you about for a minute. So a couple of years ago, I bought sample packs of clay, and one of the samples that I got was this really cool brown clay that I had never touched until last week. I was going through some of my old clay, and here's this plastic bag of this brown clay that I got, and I thought, well, why not try it? So I tried it, and the name of the clay is Sheltowee Brown. And I'll tell you why it's called Sheltowee in a moment, but when I was
Pretty
working with it, it's got an interesting name.
Yeah.
When I was working with it on the wheel, it doesn't have any grog in it, so there's no grit. It's very super smooth and very pliable, very easy to work with. In fact, a couple of the things that I have here on this table are made from that Sheltowee Brown sample bag that I had. So out of the 4 pounds that I had, I made this cool bowl, just a small little bowl. I made a wine cup sized kind of a thing. I made another one too, but I don't have it over here. And then I also made this small, probably going to hold about 4 ounces cup out of this Sheltowee Brown. And this is what it looks like in the bag right now. This is the brown clay that we have right there. But the Sheltowee clay is named after a pretty famous person. So in Kentucky, they have the Daniel Boone National Forest. And in the Daniel Boone National Forest, there is a wildlife trail called the Sheltowee Trace Trail. And it's named after Daniel Boone because the Shawnee name for Daniel Boone was Sheltowee. So Sheltowee is what they called him because when Blackfish, the chief of the Shawnee tribe, first met Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone was a pretty tall, imposing character with broad shoulders. Sheltowee was the name that Chief Blackfish gave him because Sheltowee is the Shawnee word for big turtle. So Chief Blackfish named Daniel Boone Big Turtle because that's what he looked like, and the clay is Sheltowee's clay is named after the place where you can find it in the Daniel Boone National Forest. So anyway, this clay, I'm really looking forward to making some fantastic things out of it. It feels about the same as the white clay, but it looks like a dark reddish brown when it's fired. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and you've been throwing it on the wheel, so I might actually try to do some hand building with it, maybe,
Yep.
if you can spare a little bit.
If I can spare a little bit. We only got one box of it, and really that was kind of a risk because we should have waited until after we fired this to see what we thought of it. But
Right, and how the glazes fit with it to make sure that the glazes we currently use like that clay body.
right, because different glazes get along differently with different clay bodies. So we're going to try it. We're going to see. We'll go through our 50 pounds of it, and if we like it, then it'll be part of our normal collection of clay here in the studio. The normal clays that we use.
Now you've already picked up several pieces here. Was one of these your favorite from the week?
Yeah.
or-
So I made these this past week, and I wanted to mention this white cup. It's not bright white yet, but after it's completely fired, after it's dried and fired, it will be this white clay. But it has one of those handles on it that I wanted to try experimenting with a little bit more. I've already made a couple of cups with this split handle, and I wanted to try that one too. And then I also made this other cup out of our speckle clay, this cup here. And the reason I'm showing you these cups is because right now these are my best candidates for replacements for my store-bought mug. That even though I love this cup and I'm definitely going to keep the cup, I'm trying to find a cup that is a perfect cup for me. And right now, these are my two best candidates for my perfect cup.
I think though the problem is the reason this cup is so special is because that it was a gift. So it's kind of hard to get that same feeling.
I know. I'll make a mug and you can give it to me.
Okay.
That's a perfect fix.
Or maybe we need to get Carolyn in and have Carolyn make you a mug.
She doesn't. She's a glass blower.
Yes, but she does take her classes.
She does. She did make a really good hand built mug. Right?
She did, but we have to keep that one secret.
She did not make a hand built mug.
No. It's a secret time of year.
And if she did, even if she did, we wouldn't tell you. She did.
No, not at all.
Because it's not for a gift.
No.
If she did, it wouldn't be for a gift.
Okay. Well, let me talk about my favorite item this week. I really was busy all week, but it really doesn't appear that I was.
It looks like you were lazy to me. To me, it looks like you were a little bit lazy.
I don't know what happened, but I only made 10 things the entire week. Just 10, me. That was strange.
that was me last week. I did a little better this week. Last week is not much.
Some weeks are like it. You start doing something and everything goes wrong that can go wrong. So, but I did manage to make a few mugs. But my very favorite thing from the week were these cute little ducks or chicks, whichever you want to say.
Birds of some kind.
They're birds, but they're not just birds. Because if you can see, and I'm not sure if you can really see or not, I'm gonna stick my finger in. Ta-da!
It's got a pocket.
It has a pocket.
Wait a minute, that makes it a kangaroo bird.
And if you heard something just then, we have a new cameraman.
Our cameraman is back there.
He thought that was pretty funny. Christopher is being our cameraman today, so we're trying to get him a little more actively involved in the studio.
Anyway, kangaroo birds.
Kangaroo birds.
All right, what else?
No, I'm not done talking about my kangaroo bird.
Okay.
Anyway, after it has been bisqued and then it's been glazed, I'm going to put a magnet on it and it's going to go on a refrigerator, and you can put like an air plant in it. You know, people like air plants, and it would be nice to have something nice looking to have your air plant in. And who doesn't love a bird?
Especially
So,
for kangaroo birds.
But I only had the one thing I had for my favorite, so
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's
so I deserve to be able to
yeah,
talk
that's
about my
okay. Talk
bird.
about birds.
I liked my bird.
Yep.
But anyway, we'll go ahead and move on because last week we started the question of the week.
Right.
And we answered that question about how long it took to make a mug last week. So if you didn't see that, you might want to go back and take a look at that one because that was pretty interesting, very eye-opening. But this week we had a visitor in the studio.
That's right. Yeah. So Jake, former student of mine, came and visited me here in the studio,
Yeah.
and he was asking some questions about the clay. And Jake is in the Navy right now, and he's an underwater welder in the Navy, which
Been
I'm
everywhere.
super excited about. He's been all over the world.
Amazing.
I can't wait to work with him at some point on the robot shark army that I'm trying to build to help conquer the world. But he's really, really a great guy. And what?
I'm so sorry. I
That's okay.
almost choked.
I'm glad you didn't. So Jake asked about bisque firing, and his question was, why do we do a bisque fire? And I don't want to go into too long of an explanation because literally I won't shut up. But bisque firing is kind of an intermediary firing stage for us from going from raw, wet clay like this. After we make something, we dry it out, and this is called greenware. But we can't do anything with the greenware really yet. If I drop this in a bucket of water, it's going to dissolve, and if I flick it with my finger, it's going to break. It's very fragile and not durable at all. But if we do relatively low temperature bisque fire on this piece, bake it in our kiln, quote unquote bake it, it's really called firing, but it's an analogy that works for this. If we put it in the kiln for a while, that changes the chemical composition of this. It goes through a chemical change and makes the greenware more durable so that you can handle it without breaking off any parts. For example, these are greenware, and I wouldn't even dream of picking them up by the handle now and swinging them around because they might break. After they're bisque fired, they're durable. I can pick them up by the handle, I can spin them around, and not worry about the handle snapping off. And importantly, once the clay has been bisque fired, it is no longer water soluble, which means if I drop a bisque fired piece into a bucket of water, I'll come back in 100 years and it's still going to be there because it won't dissolve. Right. But the bisque firing allows it to be durable and make it so that it's not water soluble, but it's still a little bit absorbent. It can still absorb water. But what happens is we can glaze it, and a primary component of the glaze we're using is water, right? The glaze we're using has water in it, but the bisqueware can absorb the glaze, and then we fire it again to make it go through another chemical change, and then it's finished pottery. Basically, bisque firing changes it from dried mud to ceramic. It's the first stage of turning it into a finished pot.
I liked how you were explaining it to me, also as we were talking about it, and I loved how you used that analogy of baking a cake.
Right.
Because you explained to me that this is like the ingredients, the cake mix and everything all mixed together. That's the batter, and then you put it in the oven. And in our case, we're going to put this into the kiln, which is its oven. And then when it comes out, if you put your batter into an oven, you get an actual cake. It's no longer the eggs and the flour and the salt and the water.
It's gone through chemical changes.
Right.
It would be difficult, but you could separate a cake out into its primary components
before you bake it.
In other words, you can put all the ingredients in the bowl, and it might be difficult, but you could split apart all of the different ingredients, the flour and the flavoring and all. It would be possible to split all that out until you bake it. Once you bake it, you're not getting the eggs out of it. You're not going to separate out the sugar because they've been chemically altered. And for ceramics, for pottery, that's kind of what happens. The clay goes through a chemical change where it transforms into a different kind of material that you can't just pull apart to get the components.
And just like a cake, you know, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing. So bisque, it's a good thing, because
Right.
then you can glaze it and you can fire it again.
There are tricks to get around that. You can take a piece of greenware like this, and you can, if you're careful, you can glaze it and skip the bisque phase completely and give it a nice hot glaze flare. But the problem with that is if you're working with something fragile, with parts or handles or whatever, then you got to deal with being very extremely careful with it. So it works well for flat things like ornaments, or it could work for something simple like a little cup like this. I would not try that on something where I'd have to manipulate around. But you also run the risk, if you glaze something that is just greenware, it is going to absorb a lot more water than it would if it was bisqueware, and that means you have to dry it completely. For us, it isn't uncommon for us to glaze a piece of bisqueware, let it dry for a few hours, and then put it in the kiln where we can candle it for a few hours. It's basically preheating it for a few hours, and then refine. We don't have explosions or anything. But if we try to do that with something that has glaze over greenware, we might not be able to get all the water out, and then that's where bad things happen.
So we did. We had a great week, though. We enjoyed all the things that we did, and I think we've got a few really nice pieces up here. Next week we have some other things that we've got in the works. I know you mentioned to me just yesterday or earlier today or something about designing a hand-built sleigh.
Yeah, I want to make a Santa sleigh out of clay, a ceramic one. It would definitely not be ready for Christmas this year.
Oh, but next year.
Yeah, if I start working on it now, then maybe that's something that we could work on, a hand-built sleigh. And I'm thinking ceramic runners, but we could also make wooden runners or even metal by then. Who knows?
Gives us plenty of time to work out what our design's going to be, but something unique, I think. The other thing we want to do this week is to make some more wine cups that have the thumb dent.
Right, I made a wine cup that has a thumb dent in it.
I like that.
It's a little short and a little wide and a little heavy at the bottom, but as a first attempt, I don't think it's bad at all. And so we're going to be having some cups, some thumb cups available they'll be a little cheaper than the cups that have a handle, and they'll still be awesome, still be cool, still be easily held in your hand.
Yeah, and it gives you a little bit more security. I liked that because you know, sometimes my hands don't always hold things like they used to. So anyway, I thought that was kind of nice. The other thing I'm really excited to do.
Oh man, this is gonna be awesome.
Yes, are these trays that we can put a soup bowl on and maybe a sandwich, and it's just the perfect size for those things.
It's not a big dinner plate. It's not a tiny little saucer. It is a mid-sized kind of oval-shaped thing that can hold like a cappuccino cup with hot chocolate and a muffin or something on the side, or a bowl of soup and a grilled cheese. I'm going to call them lunch plates. I think lunch plates are a good thing to call them.
So I'm looking forward to doing those. You're going to be trying out your new tools.
My new clay too.
Yes.
Holy cow.
And of course we've got a bisque load that needs to be to go into the kiln so that we can bisque it, so that I can then get busy glazing again. Because we've got, I think you can see it, a ton of mugs behind me. So that need to get bisqued so that they'll be sturdy enough to be glazed. And this coming week is going to be a very musical week because Christopher has his recital Tuesday night. He's playing his sax. He's got 2 pieces on his sax, and he's got another piece for the piano. And then on Thursday night, which I still have to buy the tickets. Please remind me to buy those tickets.
Holy cow, we're going to be sneaking in to see Christopher perform.
Yes, because he's in the Salisbury Youth Orchestra on Thursday evening, and I've got to get our tickets.
We're going to be contacting scalpers. We're going to be looking for somebody to buy tickets because we're going to forget.
I'm super excited about that, but I do have to take him to go get his black pants and his white shirt and his dress shoes. So I'm going to be busy this week, so I'm not making any promises about how many pieces I'm going to get.
We're not going to be doing a whole lot of work in here this week.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how many pieces we get done this week. I don't know. It's all good.
So what else we got to talk about?
I think that is it because
Just about out of coffee.
just about out of coffee.
Okay, well, so here's the thing. We might have another video coming before Christmas, but if we don't, or if you don't see it, have a very safe and happy holiday, and toodaloo, TTFN, ta-ta for now, take care, see you later, have a great day, no matter where you're at. Okay, everybody, bye.
Bye, guys.